Hey everyone, Digital David here. Today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the Eureka E10s Robot Vacuum and Mop. Eureka is sponsoring today's video, but I want you to know that any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this product or you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. Here's a look at the retail box and packaging. Front and center, they have the motto, no bags, no fuss. So this is a self-emptying RoboVac. But the good news here is you do not have to purchase any vacuum bags for the unit. It has a bag-free design. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and see what's inside. Here are all the contents. First up, we have our product literature featuring a quick start guide, and we have a full owner's guide. We also have an extra mop pad replacement, multi-purpose cleaning tool for detangling and dusting, 2 side cleaning brushes labeled R and L, so right and left, and they're color-coded. We have the vacuum and the auto empty base. Let's look at these in more detail. Front and center on the top of the vacuum, you'll find 3 control buttons, Eureka's logo and branding in multiple places with purple accent lines. I like how all that looks, really comes together nicely. And looking at the side from the front, we have our suite of navigational sensors here. Moving right along, we find some additional sensors on the side. Moving to the back side, we have our removable water reservoir and dust bin. Charging contacts right there. Just press these 2 purple buttons to remove the bin. On the top of the bin, we have open for filter right here, so we can easily replace, clean, and maintain the filter. This is a very large filter for a RoboVac, so that's great to see. We also have our open tab right here, so we can refill the water as needed. And then we have down here open for dust tank, so we can open that up to reveal everything right here for us to clean and maintain. Take a look at it from all different sides and angles, and then it just slides right back in. Making our way around the vacuum, you actually notice a reset switch hidden right there in plain sight, and some additional sensors on the bumper, and then we make it back to the very front. Now looking at the bottom, you'll notice 2 spring-loaded drive wheels and an omnidirectional wheel. We have our right and left side cleaning brushes labeled and color-coded for us, so we can just line those up and press to snap in place. So line it up, snaps right in. Same for the other one. Match red to red, purple to purple, or L to L, and R to R. We have our main brush roller right here. Let's pop off the cover so we can easily clean and detangle as needed. Different bristles on here too. We have a firmer, harder bristle there, and then the softer bristle with the purple and red. And that alternates between the 2. And that'll just snap right back on. And then down towards the bottom here, we have our mop pad. And that is removable, just Velcro that holds that on. So we can easily take it off to wash and replace as needed. Onto the self-emptying base. Up at the top, we have our grip handle here with instructions showing us how to empty the dust cup. It's as simple as pulling up and out of the way. With it removed, towards the bottom of the backside, we have our purple release button, and that's how you're gonna be able to empty this. And again, it's truly bagless, which is awesome. That's gonna save you money long term. Let's take a look at the dustbin while we have it out here. We have our max fill line here letting us know when it's full, and that transparent design gives us a key visual indicator so we can watch in real time over the course of weeks to get a feel for what we're vacuuming up, as well as to see when we're at that max spot. Multi-cyclone branding here. Keep rotating it around. And then we're back to the backside with our release clip. And here's a look at it with that opened up so you can see inside. For those wondering, there is a release up at the top that you can press. So this button right here will actually open up the top and give us access to our filter. There are instructions here too, instructing us to take out the top filter, and then we can rinse and clean the main portion here. So we can air dry the cyclone and we can clean it. So here's our filter we can remove, and then here's the cyclone. We can take that out right here. We can rinse that out, let it air dry, and then we can put it right back in, just like so. And then we can put our filter back on, and it's that simple. It's got a pretty cool mechanism for this just to slide right in place and guarantee that fit every time. Here's your side profile and the other side profile. Here's a look at the very bottom with 4 grip feet and a clear see-through channel with Phillips head screw, so if we ever get a clog, we can easily take that off and clean it out. Here's a look at the back side. Up at the top, we have some product info and customer service and contact information. Next, we have a filter right here, so we can gently pull that down to pop that out to reveal our filter for cleaning and replacing. That just snaps right shut. Then down here we have built-in cable management and a toggle on and off switch with our integrated power cord. And here's a look at the very front. This is the bottom and this is the top. At the bottom we have our self-empty channel right here, and we have our charging contacts, Eureka's logo and branding, and then our dustbin up at the top. With our vacuum already set up and charged up, let's go ahead and try it out. Our first clean is out of the way, and boy, oh boy, was this a doozy. I mean, look at the dustbin. We'll get to it in a second here. It's overflowing. So this is a self-empty unit, but I wanted to intercept it before we let it do its self-empty so we could see all the contents up close and personal. So first, on the vacuum itself, side cleaning brushes look great. Your typical hair tangle up at the top of the brush as expected with pet hair and long human hairs, but again, not bad. I've seen a lot worse. And then looking at the main brush roller, this is a little bit shocking to me. We've collected so much hair on here just after one clean. That's it, just one pass and we have this much hair. So you will want to get into a routine to maintain this. If you have a hairy household like we do, you'll want to use the detangling tool to cut all of that away, especially because over time this can choke out the performance of the brush. You want to make sure that your vacuum's operating in tip-top shape to give you the best clean possible. So pretty impressive that we collected this much hair. The good news is it's now no longer on your floor, but you will still have to clean it out of the brush. Next, let's talk about the mop pad. This looks great. It's still a little bit damp to the touch, and it's been about 24 hours since the vacuum has finished its clean. I do see some discoloration on the mop pad already, so that's your friendly reminder that after every clean, it's in your best interest to peel this off, rinse it out, clean it off, let it dry to put it back on to keep that as fresh and as clean as possible. You also get a second mop pad for easy replacement. And now the fun part. Look at the dustbin right here. This is amazing. Look at all that sticking out. That is jam-packed full of dirt and dust. That is super impressive. It's disgusting that we're getting all of that up off our floors. Rugs, carpet, all of that right there. Tons of pet hair, tons of human hair. But look at that really fine dirt and dust it's trapping. It's doing a fantastic job. And then down at the bottom, we have our larger crumb piles and debris. Everything right there. So pretty impressive what this is actually able to pick up in just one pass. I got my kid's sticker right there too. grass, the typical stuff you would find around your house. But I'm impressed with that really fine dirt and dust that's sticking in the filter and not being exhausted right back out through your house. And if you have a lot of hair like we do, it's definitely gonna pick it up, that's true. Let me give you a brief overview of the Eureka app, specifically the E10s settings. This is what you'll see on your screen for your device, where we can quickly enter into the settings or have it start cleaning. So we're going to select enter in, and we'll see our map load right here. And towards the bottom, we have our different control options. We can do a full clean, a room clean, or a zone clean. And we can adjust all of those settings on the right-hand side: water level adjustments, suction power adjustments, mop mode, as well as carpet mode. And further down at the very bottom, we have our dust collection option, as well as our clean button right there. Easy to pick and choose which one you want. And towards the center right-hand side on our map, you'll notice this map edit button. This takes us to all of our map settings, where we can choose different things to do. If you want to merge, divide, or rename rooms, you want to set up no-go zones, you can do that right here within the map. You can add virtual walls and barriers. You can set up these big red boxes for no-go zones and these yellow boxes for no mop zones. And you can add multiples of each. So all that can be achieved right here within the app. Just drag and drop and reposition as desired. We also have a more option in our map edit settings, where we can turn on multi-floor mapping. So you have the option to save up to 3 different maps. You could take this to like your basement, your main floor, your second story, things along those lines. And then back at our robot settings here in the very top right-hand corner, we have our additional settings for the robot, where we can set a schedule, we can view our cleaning history, there's map management again. We have voice settings. We have our robot settings, so I wanted to show you this, where we can adjust things like child lock, do not disturb. We can change our areas. We can even conduct a factory reset. We also have our automatic dust collection settings, so we can customize that. They also give us a breakdown of our accessory lifetime usage, so we know when it's time to conduct maintenance. We have manual control, so if you want to use your phone to drive the robot, you can do that, which is pretty cool. We also have a Find My Robot option. If it's missing around your house, you can press that to locate your vacuum. And then further down, it's your typical device settings information, like firmware updates, user guide and manual, FAQ. All of that can be found right here within the app. So it's a very detailed and thorough app, giving you a lot of customization options. So we're just left with one question to ask: how does the E10s stack up against the competition? We'll be comparing it to the average score of over 60 plus robot vacuum cleaners that I've personally tested and reviewed. First up, we're looking at max suction power. Typically with this metric, the higher the better. Usually, not always, it means we're gonna get a deeper and better clean in real world testing, which we'll get to in a minute. But first up, 4,000 PAs compared to your average typical robot vacuum cleaner of 5,000 PAs. So we are 1,000 PAs short of the typical average. Same can be said with our max CFM value that we measure in-house. We peaked at 4.8 CFM compared to the average of 6.9. Same thing, usually the higher this number, the better real-world clean you'll get. And you'll notice that pattern holds true in our actual deep clean test, but the good news here is very, very close to the average, even though we have less suction power and less CFM. We almost got the exact same score. So we peaked with a score of 80 out of the best possible 100, and the average for this deep clean test across all of our RoboVacs is 85, so just 5 points shy. Moving right along to decibels, this is how loud the vacuum is. We always measure this on carpet with any sort of carpet boost enabled, as well as max suction power. And in this case, we got a score of 78 decibels compared to the average of 70. The good news here, both are going to be noticeable when you're in the room with the vacuum cleaning, but they're not going to be distinguishable from each other unless you have, you guessed it, a decibel meter. Another metric we look at is battery life. This is measured in minutes. We have 30 minutes greater runtime with our E10s versus your average robot vacuum cleaner. So close to 3 hours of runtime, depending on how you want to configure your vacuum for cleaning. Obviously, the greater the suction power you use, the less battery life and runtime you'll get. The reason we get such great battery life is due to the built-in battery capacity. We have a large 5200 milliamp hour battery capacity in this vacuum cleaner. That's going to be almost 2000 milliamp hours greater than your typical average RoboVac. In regards to height, this is measured in inches, 3.9 inches. That's well within the average for a LiDAR equipped vacuum. They typically come in at 3.8 to 4 inches. Our average is only lower because we have a good mix of vacuums that don't have LiDAR navigation, so they're not going to be as tall because they don't have to have the laser and module up at the top. Moving right along to bin capacity, this is measured in milliliters. We have a 200 milliliter dust bin capacity compared to the average of 420, but even though it's below average, that average is skewed higher because models that don't have self-empty capabilities have larger dust bins. In our case, it's a moot point because when the dust bin's full, it will be emptying it automatically, so they don't need to make it larger because you're not making any trips to the trash can yourself. Same thing can be said for water tank capacity. This is also measured in milliliters. 200 milliliter water tank capacity, 35 milliliters below the average, but close enough, it's in that range. So when the vacuum, like the E10s, doesn't support the ability to refill itself, you tend to have those larger 200 plus milliliter water tank capacities. When they do refill themselves, then those water tanks internally shrink to around like 80 to 100 milliliters. Next, I'm really excited that we get to talk about mop lift height because this vacuum does support the mop automatically rising up and out of the way when it encounters carpets. This has a 10 millimeter mop lift height. Really cool that with the removable mop pad and water tank, we even have that capability at all. Usually you don't see it. So hats off to them and their engineering team that they were able to figure that out with this form factor. And it's only 0.3 millimeters below the average, but I want you to know that really is the average in the market today. Only a couple vacuums out there that would cost 2-3 times as much as this would give you maybe 15 or 20 millimeters at the most. And we can't forget about one of my favorite features. This has Bagless self-empty. When I inventoried all of the models that we've personally tested, only about 5% of them have that capability. Usually it's going to be Shark vacuums will have that option. In this case now Eureka gives us that option and Yeti gives us that option as well. It's great to see more brands incorporating this because it's a win for consumers, saving you money on reoccurring costs to maintain your vacuum. It's one less thing you have to buy every couple of months to swap out with your station. Now it's as simple as just literally taking it to the trash can, dumping it out, rinsing it out, and putting it back in. No added cost to you. And speaking of costs, what is the value of this and how does it stack up against the competition? You'll notice this vacuum is a couple $100 less than your average RoboVac out there, but with the feature set and the performance that we get, you're not even paying that much, and I would argue we were nearly at or exceeding some of those metrics, or just slightly below, where once you see how much it costs, it's a no-brainer to sacrifice a little bit in the carpet deep cleaning, but pick up the mop lifting capabilities as well as the bagless design, and still put a couple $100 back in your pocket. So this really excels in the value department for the feature set that we get. It's really a well done and solid vacuum. So the Eureka E10s is a well done and solid vacuum cleaner, but I do have a couple final thoughts to share with you. First, the main train of thought is if you're looking for a budget-friendly, self-emptying, and mopping, LiDAR-equipped robot vacuum cleaner, look no further. Chances are the Eureka E10s is going to be the vacuum for you. Now, with all that being said, I really wanted to look at it critically to see what would I want to improve with this vacuum in the future, and I really could only think of two things. The first one is going to be object recognition. I'd love for them to refine that and give us better object recognition to be able to identify common household objects and obstacles around the house so we don't have to tidy up as much before we clean. The second thing is that brush roll system. It does a great job picking up hair, but that main brush roller, at least in my household, with 2 daughters, a wife, and a long-haired dog, really attracts a lot of that long hair on the brush, and it has a hard time getting it off. So you will spend some time every once in a while maintaining that brush to get it nice and clean. The good news is they provide you with a multi-purpose cleaning tool to easily detangle. So in the future, a better anti-tangle brush roller design and refined object avoidance, packing more sensors and more cameras to be able to really see and process your environment. But again, at this price point for what it is, you won't find any of that in the competition, and this does a really good job. The mop lifting is a top-notch feature, as well as the bagless design. In addition to having LiDAR navigation, really well-rounded, the value is there.